Hi, I'm Colleen Derrick. I'm a financial advisor with Swaggers Insurance Services. This month, we are discussing orchestrating expectations. Expectations. That's a loaded word. It can be something so simple as expecting to have a shower in the morning because our hot water is going to work and the towel is still where I left it last night. And I make sure that I have shampoo and soap in the shower, and so it should all be there. Those are simple expectations. But it can also be as complex and invisible as expecting certain things to respond in certain ways in areas we never actually even think about. My mom used to tell me the story on Sunday morning how she would get grumpy with my dad because he wouldn't have our shoes set out and polished from the night before. And it wasn't until she realized that she expected him to do that because her dad had done that for her family. The night before, he had gotten everybody's shoes and gotten them all polished and set them out so they were ready to go. She didn't even realize that all of that was happening until she gave herself the space to think about why she was grumpy with my dad. And then she was able to do something about it. She was able to communicate that. Expectations can be hugely impacting both on us and our feelings and our responses. They also have a very big impact on our relationships, on our facial expressions, how we approach things. So to this complicated topic, we break it down to 4 mini courses because that's what we do. The first week, we talked about common sense, which isn't so common and we don't seem to have a lot of sense, but digging back into, hey, good fundamental stuff that just doesn't change, that we can apply if we just take 2 seconds to take a look at it. Week number 2 was a little deeper. It went into counsel, wise counsel, that we ourselves are one person with fallibility, with biases, with one perspective, with habits that impact things. And so then this week, we're going to talk about careful attention. And then next week, we're going to close it up with communication. So just a reminder, we were applying common sense so that we could have reasonable expectations, appropriate expectations, prudent expectations, not fearful, but prudent. Then we talked about orchestrating our counsel because we have biases and blind spots. Single sight is not good. So we can lay down our hubris, have some vulnerability, and ask for help. We spoke about recognizing the vulnerability we have to being in our own emotions and in our own enthusiasm and how that can sway things. So utilizing experts. And then we also spoke about reorganizing because our fallibility invites the solution of accountability, checks and balances. Careful tuning. Yes, careful tuning. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Proverbs 21:5. What does that mean? Expectations should be carefully inspected, not cavalierly declared. Mindfulness. Yes, we did an earlier session on this, if you were here for that session, about mindfulness and being aware. So why is this important? Expectations, they're the lens through which we process experiences and define them. Yeah, we're going deeper this week. So dive with me, be courageous, commit, dig deep. Let's see what's in there. So just as composers add time signature, the key and dynamics to a score, we can craft our expectations so that our life sings a song that is beautiful. Your mind can be led. You don't have to go with old mindsets. You don't have to follow preset patterns. We can lead our minds in different ways, in new directions. We can preset our mind in how to respond. It's incredible how powerful our mind is and how interactive we can be with it. So we can invite our mind to process life in ways that enhance and build your journey into a great adventure. The more care you take here, the greater the abundance gained from your experiences. You're going through life and your experiences anyway. Don't you want to get the best out of them that you can? Well, part of that is setting our expectations in a way that help us get the good stuff, get the marrow out of the bone. Hear the beautiful intricacies of life. Enjoy the beauty and the nuances of it. So with careful tuning, we can keep your heart with all vigilance. Keep your heart with all vigilance. For from it flow the springs of life. So how do we keep our heart with vigilance? How do we carefully tune our heart to cultivate expectations that are enhancing the journey of life and what we can draw from our experiences? What does this even mean? Well, expectations can be created, not copied or borrowed. They are either a manifestation of past experiences, usually overshadowed by trauma and stress, or they are crafted expressions of our hearts. From our heart can flow life, springs of life, or from our heart can flow poison and toxins. Which would you like to have flowing out of your heart? Which do you think is going to lead to better expectations? Which do you think is going to lead you to a better journey and adventure? You can't control life. Bad stuff happens. Hard stuff happens. Interesting things happen. What we can do is we can shift our expectations and craft them in a way that allows our heart not to be sealed in a safe vault, but to experience knocks, to get bumps and bruises, to actually be damaged, to be broken, but with the expectation that it can be restored, that it can heal, that it can mend, that it can grow stronger. Hearts can heal. They can. And when we expect our hearts to heal, we seek out help. We seek out nurturing to foster a healing process. We position ourselves with rest and compassion, expecting that our heart will heal. What a powerful expectation. When we understand that from our heart flows the streams of life, we can also have great expectations flow from a resilient heart, positioned to endure the bumps of life. Oh yes, what did I write? This builds resilience and strength. Festering stress and trauma, festering heart wounds, well, that taints our hearts and our expectations. When that is the state of my heart, my expectations are going to probably be that life sucks, that bad things happen and they're the end. You've heard this phrase, I just can't go on. You'd be amazed the scenarios that people have shared that they have gone on from. It is incredible. Hardships, really awful things that people have experienced, and yet they have moved on. The expectation that your heart can heal and letting that feed your other expectations in life, that is truly life changing. So let's set our hearts up to flow life instead of poison, and let's let that life flow and feed our expectations. I know we got really deep on this one. Hang in there, one more. That was the heavy one, so now we'll end up a little lighter. Careful tuning. Proverbs 6:6-8 says, "Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest." What does this mean? Expectations should be crafted for implementation. They do not sit in a realm of theory or philosophy, but tread the hard ground of the journey. The ant puts away, harvests, diligently works. This means you need to get engaged, not because somebody is overseeing you. There's nobody telling the ant to do these things. It is an internal motivation. Internally, motivate yourself to apply your expectations. But before that, internally motivate yourself to set your expectations well. No one is going to build our expectations for us. They may loan us theirs. They're not going to fit well. They may try to influence ours to suit their purposes, or in well-meaningness, they may try to influence ours for what they think our future should be, how they think we'd function best. But at the end of the day, our expectations act as a part of our operating equipment. They're our instruments. They're part of the core structure that allows us to sing the melodies of life. So setting up and carefully integrating expectations is very personal, and we alone hold the power to set up and implement new expectations. In itself, this can be a journey. Yes, but taking our expectations from theory to action benefits from breaking it down into small steps. So if you're saying, whoa, this is a lot of work. Yeah, you know what it is, and it's worth it. It's worth it. Hard things are worth it. So how do we do hard things that are scary? We break them down into bite-sized pieces. We take one step, just the way a musician practices a new score. They might take one bar or one measure, or even just the treble, or even just one phrase, a couple of notes, and they practice that. They learn that, and then they take another piece. And by the time you're done, you put it all together, and it's this magnificent piece. Expectations. Take one little chunk, one little piece, one thing that you're noticing out of our 3-week progression here that maybe doesn't reflect your heart or doesn't reflect the way you want your heart to be, and start building with that. One step. And we'll be back next week to finish off with communication.